I love you, Huntress.
In one episode of Fiona and Cake, we get cosmic backstory, payoff for one of Adventure Time's longest running storylines, the death of a low-tier god, Fiona's struggles now heading for a breaking point, and a love confession that really needs to be put into context.
You belong here.
No, you are a soft version of me.
Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, a channel for novice authors by novice authors, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And I know I said in my latest review of Fiona and Cake that I probably wouldn't do a review and analysis for each episode, but this one was too good that I couldn't resist. Okay, I know the internet has already combed through this episode, and this will be a bit spoilery if you haven't already seen it, but we need to recap the events. Fiona is working with Marshall's mom to get the Abadir Mausoleum as a quote-unquote free site for the musical night to earn some $70,000 to save Gary's sweet spot. Oh, but we know there are so many strings attached, and it's clear almost immediately that people are not exactly on board with this approach, but everyone's running out of options to get the sweet spot back from Queenie. Hunter arrives late and runs into Huntress Wizard, and the smackdown between them is glorious.
Qué planta tan hermosa.
Don't touch me.
You're... me?
You are a soft version of me. Weak.
Real tough guy, huh?
Utterly consumed with her quest to save Finn by finding the heart of the Force in Fiona's world, Huntress Wizard is losing steam quickly and has a horrible nightmare about Finn growing before her eyes and getting maimed, poisoned, aging, and even dying. And that's where she meets the Cosmic Owl, who tells her that he must have slipped into her Finn dream because he's off to give Oo's most famous human a croak dream. HW goes berserk and tries to stop the owl before he can bring about Finn's ultimate fate, chasing him from dream to dream and spilling over into Fiona and Cake's different dreams in the process. They tag along and distract her long enough for Cosmic Owl to make his escape, and it all puts Fiona as well into a sad and rather desperate light.
Look at what's happening!
What if they turn out all mixed up like me? Ooh. Ah!
We're meant to be!
After waking up, Huntress Wizard berates Fiona for making her lose her quarry, but Cake then gives her a brilliant idea. How about stopping the owl in Finn's dream? But to do so, she's going to need to use Fiona's mind in order to connect with her Finn. But it just doesn't work out, unfortunately. Instead, it leads them to Farm World Finn, who has met our boy and who thankfully is still alive after his encounter with the Scarab in Season 1. And he manages to help Huntress find her man. Once they're in Finn's dream, they find the poor guy getting tortured by all of these various nightmares that scream out the fact that he's dying, that his time is up. Also, I'm shocked that so few people have pointed this out, but the very first dream that they come across is of a giant pair of lips devouring people. Apparently Finn is subconsciously aware of and not okay with all those princess smooches. Fiona tries her best to keep Finn alive, while Farm World Finn and Huntress set up traps to catch the Cosmic Owl. As Fiona is getting brutally traumatized, though, by watching Finn die repeatedly, the owl arrives, and HW finally gets to have her standoff with the guy.
Then I'll have to croak the messenger.
After unceremoniously stashing Cosmic Owl's corpse into a trash can, Huntress Wizard swears to Finn that she'll save him. He confesses to her, and she just walks away? Fiona tells HW that she needs to go back and tell him how she really feels about Finn, but Huntress just won't and quits the dream, bringing Fiona back to her waking world where she dashes out into the night to confront DJ Flame and try to confess her feelings for him, and all kinds of red flags begin going up. All in all, it's an epic episode that has a very open-ended conclusion, and yet it feels so incredibly fulfilling to watch. Why is that? Well, it's not just because of Finn's confession, or the Cosmic Owl finally biting the dust, even for the people who've been waiting for this moment, either moment, for so long, but because this episode delivers on so much buildup and world building in a profound climactic moment that settles one immediate danger, but then sets up so much more conflicts yet to come. So let's start breaking down the genius of this episode. First, we get the backstory for Cosmic Owl. This guy is ancient and goes back to the Lich's old lore of the multiverse.
Before there was time, before there was anything, there were monsters.
In the time of primordial order, after the chaos and darkness of monsters, two brothers wandered around the earliest portions of this new creation, pulling silly pranks and all that good jazz. But they went too far when they devoured the ethereal pizza. Cosmic Owl laid the blame on his brother, causing them to be forcibly separated, and his brother was condemned to what appears to be hell, and he was then cursed to become ethereal himself and made into fate's messenger. This explains actually so much about why he's unhelpful. He's always been a slightly treacherous trickster and lazy to boot. However, there is something kind of sad in Cosmic Owl's fate, because in all of these eons, he's never made up with his brother, at least as far as we know, unless it turns out that his brother is Prismo, in which case that is still actually kind of sad. Despite having a grand place within the cosmos, Cosmic Owl has squandered his position and died a really pathetic death. And if we think about it, within Finn's lifetime, we've seen the deaths and alterations of numerous gods and cosmic beings. What little remains of the ancient and divine past keeps getting destroyed around Finn. All that history and power is just lost. And in this case, by Huntress Wizard, because she refuses to let her boyfriend go. But before we really dive into her story, we need to discuss poor Fiona. Fiona is really trying her hardest. She's trying to live up to being a hero and keeps failing. Failing because of her powerlessness. Failing because of her choices. Failing because the world is just so much bigger than her. When she tells Cake she's trying to be a hero for everyone, again, the hero that they need, this isn't glory hogging or bemoaning a wicked fate. It's actually something far more real and relatable. Fiona saved her world and now feels absolutely pathetic that she can't help Gary do something as comparatively small and simple as save the sweet spot. And yes, despite how that sounds, many people might find something like that relatable. For anyone who has been the hero of the big game, or the leader of a successful project or business, or the champion in a club, or maybe they did something big and great in their life that earns them admiration from their peers, or even a lot of money, to then get confronted with a problem that they can't solve, well, it's actually debilitating. And I speak from personal experience several times over that it makes you feel utterly worthless and powerless when you can't fix a problem for the people that you love. That makes then all of your previous accomplishments feel hollow or fake, because what were they worth if you can't help people now? This is why Fiona is so desperate to help. This is why she's so desperate for love. This is why she's so desperate to learn from Finn what gives him the strength to carry on. This is why she's so relieved that Farm World Finn is doing well, that her adventures need to mean something, because also she cares. Still, none of that seems to matter, because getting the sweet spot back is nearly an impossible goal for a broke girl who can't keep her life together. Her realistic situation and current mental state would naturally push her to again pursue an old crush like DJ Flame, and in all the hopes that it could somehow magically fix everything. But just like Huntress Wizard's acute focus on saving Finn, this single-minded approach is setting her up for failure, because she's blocking out all the other avenues or people who might be able to help. Furthermore, she's blind to the questionable vibes that Flame is giving off by the end of the episode. What this episode does brilliantly is bring together Fiona's many problems so that we get the greater picture of really what's going on with her. With this understanding, we can go clear-eyed into whatever disasters are going to befall this poor girl in the upcoming episodes. And this is a wonderful example of emotional buildup, not just by placing characters and events like dominoes ready to topple, but to make sense of the emotional stakes at hand. So much is resting on Fiona's shoulders, and her knees are beginning to buckle.
I need to save the sweet spot and help my friends. I'm supposed to be a hero. It's just hard.
Now, this takes us to Huntress Wizard's quest in this episode, which spans numerous episodes, not throughout Fiona and Cake alone, but through Adventure Time as well, to make sense of what we just witnessed. So, just like I said in my previous video on Finn and Huntress Wizard, HW is dealing with her biggest weakness here. Like a predator, her eyes remain on the prize, and she's not taking in the larger picture to make sense of what her destiny is or how to save Finn. And she's just doing it her own way, which has now been reduced to poking around shrubs at a graveyard. And so when she confronts Hunter, we start learning a few important things. First, Hunter is no dummy and immediately recognizes HW as another him. At least someone in Fiona world finally has some real brains. And number two, Huntress Wizard sees in Hunter the exact kind of person she's feared of becoming if she ever went to the city. That she'd become weak, incapable, someone who doesn't matter. And who's to say that she's wrong, actually? Hunter is unable to make his feelings properly known to Fiona, hasn't been able to save the sweet spot, and is playing second fiddle to everyone else in Fiona's life. So in HW's book, he's a loser. And number three, don't mess with Huntress, or she's gonna wreck your world.
Real tough guy, huh?
Her first dream with Finn is another super relatable moment. The hard meat don't get eat girl is struggling with her feelings. Just like Fiona, she feels powerless because the man she loves is barreling towards his death. She's not just cursing him with her commentary, but also berating herself for falling in love with a guy who in so many ways is the opposite of her. And by raise of hand, seriously, who hasn't been there before? Chasing the Cosmic Owl is another great example of her single-minded approach to helping Finn. And as a quick aside, I've seen some people say that her dream shenanigans shouldn't be possible because she lost all her magic, but in retrospect, I think it's clear that her greater powers were cut off in the physical realm. But as we've seen, HW still has loads of tricks thanks to world hopping and her very nature as, well, whatever she is. And in the dream world, far more is possible. Connecting with Farm World Finn brought so many things full circle. I absolutely love this part. Remember that Prismo brought Finn and Jake to Farm World to save the multiverse by stopping the Lich there and freeing Farm World Finn from the influence of the Ice Crown. In that episode, as pointed out by Uncivilized Elk in an excellent video they made, Finn had to use the Maid, a device that could eliminate anything in one blast if the incantation was used. And the incantation was the lyrics from the song A Man Needs a Maid by Neil Young. The lyrics speak of a young man growing up and learning about a more mature love. And the episode crossover opens up how crossovers are technically okay so long as they bring the multiverse back into balance. So bear that in mind. But just as important are the two following episodes. Egress and Flute Spell. Egress effectively illustrates the same problem that Huntress Wizard is going through right now, desperately trying to find her way out of a convoluted maze, when the real lesson and way out are far more unexpected. And then of course Flute Spell is the story that brought HW and Finn together in the first place, in what was Finn's first mature encounter with romance. When you bring this all together, Finn's heroism to save Farm World Finn and his whole dimension created a valuable and heartfelt connection that ends up saving him in the future. And the totality of that victory is represented by Farm World Finn gazing up at the sky in his inner self and seeing the ice-crowned cloud get blown away. He's been healed. But not just by Finn, but by Fiona letting him know that Jay and Little Destiny are safe and alright in her world. He then returns the favor by helping Huntress Wizard and Fiona save Ooze Finn from the Cosmic Owl. But it's actually then just a momentary victory, because Finn is still dying and HW is still very much stuck. By her estimation, her love for Finn hasn't been enough. Therefore, she's still stuck in this invisible maze. What a wonderfully complicated web this weaves. Two characters whose love for each other spans the multiverse, has led to the defeat of a godly being and has had rippled effects across so many worlds, and yet they are oh so far apart. This brings then clear focus why Huntress Wizard cannot bring herself to confess her feelings to Finn, which seems kind of silly because we know in the Great Hunt that she's already teased out her feelings, and then she gave Finn an elk's heart.
Yeah, right. We both know you're totally in love with me. I got you a present too. It has emotional and metaphorical significance. It's an elk's heart.
Oh, cool.
The issue is that Huntress Wizard feels weak. She feels like she's losing. Against her trained instincts and solitude, HW fell in love with a bumbling, heroic, dumb human and is hurt by recent events. Giving into those feelings would destroy everything she believes in, and especially the image that she's crafted of herself in order to survive in an unforgiving world that has already robbed her of so much. And yet, she can't stop herself from trying to save Finn because she loves him. It's a contradiction, much like the Hall of Egress, that she has to sort out. At the heart of it all is this twisted nature of the multiverse's roots and intertwined destinies. This is something that we still don't understand, but rest assured, by the Spirit Warrior's own advice, we are going to have to learn it. Huntress, just like Fiona, is setting herself up for disaster. But unlike Fiona in this episode, she doesn't neatly reveal it all to us, or any of the other characters what she's going through. Her journey requires an understanding of Adventure Time's history to fully make sense of it. And this is honestly a brilliant use of the lore and continuity, world building, and all the character arcs necessary to build up to this moment that it hits like a freight train.
I love you, Huntress.
I know your only dream, Finn, and you're not going to remember this, but I'm going to save you.
Flute Spell was where Finn began understanding how love could be mature and honestly selfless. And it's now time for Huntress Wizard and Fiona to learn the same lesson. And in doing so, they will be able to sort out their own issues and bring about a, hopefully, good conclusion to the season. And it's the kind of thing that I hope for, because even though Finn confessed to Jake that he felt empty after his brother's death, there's still a chance for him to feel truly happy and fulfilled. We see that his headspace is largely empty, drab, and he's just putting on the show of a hero. But like how Farmworld Finn's headspace is vibrant, calm, and filled with the stew of his wife, our boy Finn can have the same with Huntress Wizard if she finally figures everything out. So see, this is why I had to talk about this episode. It was chock full of all these juicy details and connections. I just had to talk about them. And as a writer, I cannot stress how much I appreciate the way that this episode juggled so much, from the cosmic owl lore reveal to the fight to save Finn in the dream world, and how that was only really a temporary victory, and then the parallels between HW and Fiona, and seeing how they're setting up their own future problems, and then using all that fantastic world building across Adventure Time to craft an epic showdown, and finally the resolution for Farmworld Finn. Oh, it's so great. So, with that being said, though, it's time for me to get back to my own writing, and I hope that you'll check out the totally mathematical books that I've published. Links for them are in the description below. And thank you for joining me on this amazing adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.